Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, we got all kinds of people in today. Hello, Kayla and Kentucky Chick, Anti-Bully Girl,
All of our girls are here.
talking with JoJo. Everybody's here. Hello. I hope y'all had a good weekend. How was your
My
weekend, Kendall?
my weekend was so messed up because in a good way, but
Inside the bumper
Friday
cars.
was
Hello, my
the
friend. Sorry.
Friday was the grandkids award days at school. And so my daughter and I've only got one grandchild, as you know, but my daughter's fiance has two kids that I now claim as mine, and they had awards day too. So Amber took off for Mason, and Tyler took off for his two. And so by 10:30, everybody was home. So Friday felt like Saturday to me, and all day Saturday felt like Sunday. And then I was just lost yesterday. So when you text me earlier and said, "Hey, you ready?" It had just slipped my mind because now all my days are all mixed up. Simple minded. I fixate on something, and then days of the week is not it.
Well, I've lost all day since Thursday. I'm just not even going to lie to everybody. I've done good to remember what day it is.
I know you've been busy because I haven't even talked to you that much.
Yeah,
And
I had
it's
happened
very
on
odd.
TikTok last night and was in Cole's closet for a minute and jumped over to Anti-Bully Girls for a minute, and she was like, "I haven't seen you in days." I was like, "I know."
I
Like,
tried to hit everybody last night too.
it was like, yeah, you had just left. She's like, "You just missed Kendall." I was like, "Yes, yeah, I didn't know she was on. She didn't text me." But we were out all day Saturday out on the Renfair property working, and it was hot. Good Lord. And I didn't go back out yesterday. The rest of them were out there working. I felt bad I didn't go help because they all helped me some Saturday. And I'll go out tomorrow and take more stuff out, finish getting stuff set up.
You want to tell
Um,
the girls about your granddaddy long leg story?
yes. So I have a very irrational fear, everybody. It is irrational. I know it's irrational. It's okay. But I'm definitely afraid of spiders, okay? Irrationally afraid of spiders. And um, and if the air conditioner is too loud, y'all let me know. So my tent, I got a black canopy tent with enclosed sides because I'm going for a cave look. My name out there is the Dragon's Den, and so I'm going for a whole cave look. We're doing pop up tents because of all the weather bad issues, and long story there. So inside of my tent happens to be thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, daddy long leg spiders.
There was probably two, and she freaked out.
No, we're talking huge points. I started to take pictures, but I was so freaked out I couldn't do it because then it'd been on my phone and I'd have chunked this expensive ass phone. So that didn't happen. But literally, at first there were just a couple on the outside, and so I just smacked on them. I'm like, I can do this, Brandy. Don't be a bitch. Come on, man up. I'm pep talking myself, and I talk trash to myself when I do that. And so I squish them off, and I go in and I look up, and in the corner is this clump. This because when they gather together, you've got these huge things of them just hanging, and I backed out of the tent and was hyperventilating and look up, and in the very peak of it there's a screen part, and it's got another cap over that, and they're just congregated, more of them clumped in there. I didn't bother looking up to see if there were any above my head because there could have been, and I would have beat myself half to death. I just would have panicked. And so I literally just get back away from the tent about 6 foot. I'm standing there in tears. I'm just totally losing it, having a meltdown. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I walked over to our manager and said, I quit. I quit. She's like, what happened? I said, I can't. There's spiders in my tent. I can't. I quit. I quit. I'm not. So Saturday, one of the girls, I had several of the younger ones like, we'll go get them out for you, Miss Brandy. And I'm like, y'all don't understand. You can't just get them out. They're everywhere. I don't know what I'm going to do. I took poison out. We sprayed everything. My friend
You
took
poisoned granddaddy long
yes,
legs?
I put poison all around my tent. I sprayed my whole tent.
Oh my
I
goodness.
run them off. It didn't kill them. They weren't dying. They left, but they weren't dying. So they're like invincible. They're like the little German cockroaches that nothing kills. Nothing killed them. Nothing. Nothing. I put borax soap down. I put the spray out. My tent was saturated. Another one of the ladies come over and she got her husband and he come over and she said, look, and he looked at, oh, you really are infested. I said, yes. What do I do? So he's scooping them out. He's getting everything out. I said, can you take the sides down for me? He said, yeah, I'll do that. Where are you going? I said, throw it in the trees. I don't care. I ain't touching it. My husband can do that when he gets home. So we took all the sides down, cleaned it out. They didn't seem to come back. I have not been back out. So we're going to hope and pray that they stayed away. Because if not, I don't know what I'm going to do, guys. Hey, April Bell, welcome to the stream, guys. I have no idea what I'm going to do because I'm terrified. I told you.
Fix it where I can see the chat. I can't see it.
I'm like, I will just put my tables outside of the tent. And I have my dragon eggs done. And so I'm going to set them up. I want to be able to be in my tent. I've got plastic pallets down with flooring. I'm putting a rug out there. It's going to be so pretty. And I really want in my tent, but I'm not sharing it with spiders. I'm not. Give me the snakes all day long. Anti-Ebola girl was infested with snakes the other day. And so, which I thought was fun because I like snakes. Can't do spiders. Can't.
I love all the creepy crawly things. No, I have a jumping spider named Jumper. And she is gorgeous. She's got the cutest little face and little eyes. And
there's nothing cute about them.
Go look at my page and look at my spider video. You can't look at that face and say it's not cute.
I can't. Because you know what I'll do? I'll smack my phone and toss it because I can't. I'm deathly afraid. And they were picking on me, the Bobby, the one cook, and Leo, one of our grounds guys. He's like, we were talking about we're going to get all the spiders in a jar and go put them in your tent. And I said, I will hurt both of you. I thought y'all liked me. Don't. Like, seriously, they think it's funny and they do not understand. I will literally hurt myself trying to get away. It's not a good thing. I have locked myself out of my house. I've nearly broken my hand because I thought one was on me one time. Like, it's just not even. I can't.
Phobias are crazy. I have a crazy phobia, and I might admit what it is. I don't know, but it's so weird. But my daughter decided, I usually don't tell people because people laugh, but it's a real phobia to me. But me and my daughter didn't talk for 2 weeks one time because she put my phobia. She pulled back the comforter on my bed and threw a bunch of, I'm just going to say, it's cotton balls. I have a thing about cotton balls. I can't stand them, the way they sound, the way they look, the way they feel. And then they torture you and put a cotton ball on top of every Tylenol or ibuprofen bottle alive. It freaks.
I'm stuck on they make a sound. Cotton balls make a sound.
Yes, they make a sound. If you put your fingers together on a cotton ball, they make a sound. Yes, they do. So my daughter thought it was going to be real funny. She went and bought a bag of cotton balls. She pulled my comforter back, and they were living with us at the time. And I got in late from work. It's when I was truck driving. So I don't want to wake nobody up when I get in at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So she knew I wouldn't turn the light on. So I went and took a shower and got ready for bed, snuck it down to my bedroom, pulled the comforter back, got in the bed. And then I felt something. I'm like, what is that? Because I could feel it. I got on, turned on my flashlight on my phone, and freaked the whole house out. Oh, I was so mad at her because it's real to me. It is real to me.
We were.
There's a name for it. There's a real name for cotton ball phobia.
We were setting up a like a clothing distribution thing years ago. God, this was, oh Lord, 2000. Early 2000s, I think, probably 2000. And so we have this one room and we're putting clothes on shelves, and hanging them up. And they had found this big plastic funky spider thing that, for Halloween or whatever. And they put it in between clothing where I was putting stuff. And they stood back and they waited, right? Because they knew what was fixing to happen. And I moved those clothes and that spider was right there. I screamed. I run over two kids. One of them was my own. Run smooth over them. And they're laughing behind me. They are like about to pee their pants laughing. And I'm like, that is not even funny. It's just not. I hate all of y'all. It's not funny. I can't. And my kids have the same. I think I made my kids have the same phobia. I caused them to have it because of my irrational fear. Because it truly is irrational. And I know that. But I can't help it.
No, that I can get spiders more than cotton balls because there is, especially in the South like we are, there is some very, venomous spiders.
Yeah, the brown recluse. I've been chased by one of those. like literally it was sitting on the toilet, and we had a bathroom that had the washer and dryer in it, and it come out from there. And so I picked my feet up and I'm screaming for David, and every time it would go back under, and I'd put my feet down and it would come back out, and it would like pounce its feet. And so I'm really sitting on the toilet with my feet up on the bathtub going, David, I'm screaming. He comes in there and I'm like, spider. And he's like thinking it's going to be one of them little bitty ones and I'm being dramatic. And then it comes out, he's like, oh shit, that's a brown recluse. I'm like, I'm telling you.
Back when me and Amber's dad were married for almost 21 years. And this would have been back when we were really young, right? Money was just unheard of, right? And we went to visit his parents in Ohio, and it was a family reunion and everybody was coming in. And so some of us had to get a hotel room, and we got like the cheapest. I mean, it wasn't a Motel 6. It was like a Motel 2. I mean, it was so bad. And
it was so bad. For Motel 6.
It was not even a 6. It was like a Motel 2. And it was so bad. And it's like you walked in the bathroom and there was like burns where people had set their cigarettes down and like probably other things down that, had marks on it. It was bad. It was bad. And he killed a spider, and he didn't say anything because he knows I am about spiders. You don't kill spiders. Don't, just don't. They're benefit us. And he killed a spider. And I said, what are you doing? He said, nothing. I thought I seen a roach. Well, I believe that. Kill all them suckers, right? I believe that because this hotel was so bad. And I'm trying to pull the bed back to check for bed bugs because I have this phobia about, you pick up one at a hotel and you got to destroy your house, right?
Yes, any hotel. I'm that
right.
way.
I don't care. Even today, if I go to a resort, I'm pulling the covers back and I'm looking at the mattresses. I'm pulling the sheets off. I usually even take my own sheets. Really, no, it's nasty. So I'm doing that, and he's like, "Okay, wait a minute." And I'm like, what? And he said, I just killed another one. And I said, killed another what, roach? And I'm like, what are we going to do? And he said, no, this one was a spider. And I think this one was what he called a fiddleback, which is a brown recluse. Mm-hmm. And I go and look at it. And that was before we had Google, like where we could just go look up stuff, right?
Right, immediately compare, yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, I said, I don't even, I knew what it was, and it was a poisonous spider, but I said, it looks like a little house spider to me. That wasn't what was freaking me out, but he kept finding them. So the next day we sleep and we make it. I mean, we made it through the night. And the next day we show up at the family reunion, and he had put one in a piece of toilet paper and took it to show his uncle. And his uncle ended up calling the hotel and saying that, because by the time that was over, when we left the next morning, he had found like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, no.
And the uncle called the hotel and like, this room is infested with brown recluse fiddlebacks. And so now being able to look it up and know how poison it was, I would not have stayed if I would have known. I would have not. There was that many in that small of an area. It was like one ground floor. It's like there wasn't a 2-story. It was just like one of those hotels where it's just the ground floor, like the Norman Bates Hotel kind of thing. Wow. So we were right on the ground, and it was old brick. So
yeah. Once you start finding them like that, you've got a true infestation. Yeah.
Yeah, this was just years ago.
So, alrighty, guys. Well, I guess we're going to jump into this. We have talked y'all's ear off about phobias and weird bugs and critters.
Spiders and cotton balls.
Spiders and cotton balls. Complete opposite ends of fear factor.
It's not. It really isn't. It really isn't.
But, so Kendall was taking the reins with this, and this is a case that really got her attention, because she was like, have you heard about this? I'm like, no. She's like, this is such a thing. And so we had conversations about it, and it's definitely her baby. And
it is.
When I realized how busy I was going to be, I was like, you want to do that case and I'll just give you the reins? And so I'm going to do that. She gets the reins today, while I'm multitasking and sharing pictures and being the secretary, so to speak.
I appreciate it.
And I may go later on in the week and just make cups with everybody, and y'all can see while I'm making. Because I've got
help me with chat, because I don't multitask very well. So if anybody has questions, just stop me.
Okay. And so But everybody, welcome. While you're here, make sure you run over and give me a thumbs up, if you will, please. And I did drop the membership link if you would like to be a member of the channel. It's greatly appreciated. And I'm almost at my first goal, guys. Almost there. And super excited. Got more ideas coming soon. Anyway, so let me find my stuff here. That way,
if she ever gets past this Renaissance fair, we'll be
at this point
putting a lot more up.
I don't know if it's ever ending.
My kid just texted me. I don't know if he'll chat, but he's here too watching. This is my baby that's in Texas down beside you.
Oh, okay. How bad did they get the storm the other day?
I don't know. I talked to you and his remember I told you his best friend come in and he was headed to Texas, but I haven't got to talk to Chase to know how bad it was for him, but he's closer to Dallas.
They were hit pretty good. I don't know that they got the extent that what we were getting, but I mean, we had a hurricane in May and it come inland instead of from the Gulf. So go figure. It's crazy. Absolutely insane. So alrighty. Well, Kendall, everybody welcome Kendall, my co-host.
All right, guys, I'm going to go about it just a little bit different than usually Brandy does. Most true crime jumps right into the facts of the murder itself and the crime. But this story, because the death of this child is going to is carrying, and I say it's moving mountains, because the family is very much keeping this baby's spirit alive and trying to bring change with the CPS. It's called Child Youth Services. In Pennsylvania, we call it here in the South CPS, but CPS really let this child and family down. And so I want to go back and give just a little bit of a backstory of the life they had before the monster come into the picture, and just to give more life to Iris. And Iris is the 18-month-old that lost her life. But Emily is her mom and Bailey is dad. And they were 20 years old when they become official on Facebook. And that would have been the end of 2020. And, for that age group, becoming Facebook official is a big deal, right? I mean, that's like the new announcement thing for kids that age. So they made a TikTok on December the 2nd. And remember that date, December the 2nd of 2020. And he's asleep beside her, kind of laying on her chest. This is the boyfriend. And Emily does this TikTok where she's like, I think I'm falling. And it's just a picture of her. And then it flashes over to a picture of him and her together. And he's asleep on her chest. And she says, I think I have fallen. And it's the cutest little TikTok. But remember, December the 2nd, when that TikTok was made. Then on December the 17th, they become official on Facebook. And they're dating, and they decide to move in together when they find out that they are expecting a baby. And they move in together at 400 Electric Street in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Also remember that address. So they're only 20 years old. They're young. They're expecting a baby, and it's scary for that age. I mean, it's scary for any age, but they really embraced being young parents and stepping up and doing what they needed to do. This isn't one of those cases where, girlfriend gets pregnant and dad doesn't have anything to do with her during the pregnancy and is here and there, when the baby's born. They really settle down and try to make it work. The picture perfect, we're having a baby, and they both really jump in, and they're scared. They embrace everything. The family gives Emily a gender reveal party in August of 2021. And she would have been about 6 months pregnant at this time. And there's a video on Facebook of the pink smoke blowing in the air and dad's face.
Is it on their the page, the Baby Iris page?
It's on her personal Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but it's a you can just tell the look on mom and dad's face. They both are just over the moon. It's a girl. And dad kind of does that. Darn it, I wanted a son. But yet he's still just glowing happy. And you hear the grandmother in the background say, "It's okay, Bailey. Every woman in this family has their girls first." And he just beams and smiles. So we fast forward to October the 3rd. And this is just 2 months before Emily gives birth, and they give her a baby shower, and it's the cutest thing. This is kind of a side note, but I think it's gorgeous. They do it in Winnie the Pooh, but instead of the typical Winnie the Pooh, it's all in canary yellow, and they do flower arrangements in the little baskets or honey pots. And this is still, in 2021 where COVID is still a thing, right? I mean, we're still losing a lot of people. And they hand out at the door a little thing with Iris's name on it, which is sanitizer. And they hand them out at the door as people comes in. And he's involved in the baby shower too. And a lot of dads don't go to baby showers, but he did. And they had the theme cake, and then they had dad just a little cake on the side that was Winnie the Pooh, kind of laid back, watching the clouds go by. It's just the cutest thing. So fast forward to December the 2nd of 2021, one exact year from the day that she made the TikTok video that says, "I think I'm falling in love. I think I've fallen." The cute little and baby Iris is born. And it's exactly a year to the day when she made that video. So they both settled down in, to parenthood. They seem to be doing really good. He's working and he's doing what he's supposed to do. She's also working and trying to do school. And on Christmas of that year, Iris wouldn't have been quite a month old, or not even a month old yet. She puts up a post that says, "Merry Christmas from our dysfunctional family to yours." And everything seemed to be going good. Around 5 to 6 months old, something happens. I mean, they're young, right? They're young. And Emily and Bailey, they break up. But their priority is still Iris. And to be so young, any breakup's hard. And there's very few people that can co-parent well, especially a young couple. I just find it rare for such a young couple that's barely 21 to co-parent well. But even the grandparents says that they co-parented very well. They did not go to court to set up. It wasn't a he said, she said fight to get, who's got custody when. They actually just did a parenting plan, and they set a visitation arrangement, which is required in Pennsylvania. But it says Iris will stay with mom full time, and dad will have every other Wednesday and every other Friday and Saturday. But the couple seemed to really work well together. And the grandparents said on Nancy Grace that if Bailey had Iris and something come up that Emily needed her for a birthday party or something, and it wasn't Emily's weekend, that Bailey would say, "Okay, that's fine," and vice versa. They just co-parented well, just
And
very, very well.
I want to say this has got to be the prettiest baby ever.
I can't see the screen. You got a picture up?
Yes, up on your phone. You're looking at your other thing. I've been going through the pictures that you gave me.
Oh, okay.
I'm at the 5-month picture. There's 2 of them at 5 months, since that's about the time that they split up. Right, it was 5 months.
Right, the one with the blanket. And that blanket is a little keepsake that she got at her baby shower.
Yes, I got one for my future daughter-in-law for baby Waylon that's coming in July, and because this is a new thing. We didn't have these when we had babies. This wasn't a thing, but these are something they like to do now. She's just precious. This has got to be the happiest, most precious baby.
Smart. Lord, she was smart.
She is just a doll. I can't. She's just gorgeous. Gorgeous baby. So, all right. I just had to point out. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But since my son, a little side note again here, since my son is listening, when you decide to ever give me a grandchild, I will have one of these blankets. I will. Hint, hint. But he's not in a hurry. He's 25, going to be 26 this year, and still no grandbaby. So anyway, Emily and Bailey break up, and they do the visitate or the parenting plan, and everything is going good. And it looks like that Emily and Bailey had been a couple for 2 years. Now, they didn't live together for 2 years, but before they went official on Facebook, I went back and looked at posts where they were always together. And one of the interviews I watched with one of the aunts, it said that they were together for 2 years before they broke up. So as soon as they break up, or not long after they break up, our monster walks in the picture. And Bailey, go on. Bailey.
This is the monster, everybody. This is her. That's
Bailey meets a girl named Aleisia Owens. And the new girlfriend moves in with Bailey soon after Emily and Bailey break up. Emily moves in with her parents, who, you talking about the world stops for a grandbaby. Their world was turned on its heel when this grandbaby come into the picture. We all love our grandbabies, right? But she would tease, Emily's mom would tease her and say, I thought I loved you, but then you had Iris, and I love her just an inch more. And there's just tons of pictures of, and their older parents, they actually had Emily in their late 30s, and now Emily's having a baby of her own. So they're probably in their 50s, if not even a little bit older. And their world is just, it revolves around this baby. And there's pictures of him in the floor with her playing and reading her books, and Emily's continuing to do what she needs to do, going to school, and everything revolves around Iris. So Aleisia Owens comes into the picture, and he moves in with Bailey, and they had been together for about a year. So at that time, she moved in with her parents when the baby was about 5 or 6 months old. And at the time that this murder happens, Iris is about 18 months old, just a few days shy of 18 months old. And the Aleisia Owens girl, at that time then had been living with Bailey for a year. So again, they still continue to co-parent well.
And Bailey had her on Wednesdays.
Bailey had her every Wednesday and every other Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay. So they had a really good split parenting plan going. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't with him 24/7. I mean, every day, but just when he had her those 3-4 days a week, basically.
Right. But the grandparents really do point out that anytime he wanted her, that Emily they just co-parented well, and would, they just tried to work together. So Emily had a problem with Aleisia Owens only because Aleisia Owens was young, and a toddler, 18 months old, is a handful and can really ride your own patience. They're into everything. You can't take your eye off of them. And she was very young, and she was very jealous of Bailey and Emily's co-parenting relationship. Very jealous. So Emily wanted to meet her. And she asked Bailey, can I please just meet her? She's going to be around our daughter. Can I please just meet her? And he said no. And what it explains more about the co-parenting is that seemed to be the first little bump in the road. There might have been more, but that seems to stand out in every article, was that he told her, no, you're not going to meet the new girlfriend, which I believe you need to know who is around your children. If you're dating and you're dating someone with children, you want to meet the other parent. You're with their child,
Well, and you should. I mean, that's
right,
just, especially somebody that's going to be basically
in your child's life
co-parenting,
every day.
then you need to know each other and, well, I mean, trust each other. I mean, that's just,
Right, right. And Emily never seemed to date again. I mean, even up until now, she's so focused on the goal of what they're doing with Iris and CPS that there's nothing even on her personal Facebook, which maybe she's just protecting herself. But she makes several comments even to this day that God will send her the right man, but right now she is not dating. Just don't even care about dating. She's focused. So she does ask Bailey, can I meet her? Bailey says no. And she says, well, will you please just don't leave our daughter alone with her? She's young and she might not have the patience that you and I do. And as far as I know, at that point in time, there wasn't any red flags that's being talked about, but just the fact that she was young and Iris was a handful. She was walking by the time she was 10 months old. She was everywhere and into everything. She's just such a bright light, but she, the typical 18-month-old. So, around March the 30th, this would have been on a Wednesday. It was Bailey's Wednesday, which he got every Wednesday, but it was Wednesday. Iris was to go to Bailey's house and everything was normal that day. He come and picked up Iris as usual, and he would come pick up Iris, and then Emily would go pick her up in the morning. So, Emily would have been there first thing Thursday morning to pick her up. And there was no text or anything from Bailey saying that anything had happened or anything was out of the norm. But she goes and picks up Iris as scheduled, as they've done many times before. And she fed, when she got the baby home, she fed her and she went to change her diaper. And in the diaper, she noticed a few water beads, 2 or 3 water beads, or other name is Orbeez. I'm sure y'all all know what that is.
and that's these little things. And they start these little bitty balls, and you get them wet. You put them in water, and they swell up.
Right. And she changed the baby's diaper, and she found a few of those, and she recognized what they were because she had them, as a kid. She knew what they were. She also knew that she didn't have any in her house, and the ones that had come out of Iris's body was about the size of a quarter, and you're talking about the intestines of a 18-month-old. But she passed them. She contacted the doctor right away and told the doctor that she had passed, I think it was 3. She had passed 3 water beads, and she was, she's a first-time parent, which I would have taken her to the emergency room immediately. Having 2 kids, I still immediately, I know what they could do, but the doctor just told her to really watch her, and if she passed any more, to take her to the emergency room. So now Bailey had her that Wednesday, but it was also Bailey's weekend coming up. So Emily would have only had her, Bailey would have had her Wednesday, Emily would have had her Thursday, and then she went back to Bailey on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So she goes back that weekend, back to her dad's house, and he texted Emily and said, hey, Iris is passing more of these Orbeez. And he really just don't know where it's coming from either. So she goes, she runs, and she picks the baby up, and she takes her to the emergency room. They do an x-ray. In the x-ray, they find 20 more water beads, 3 button-sized batteries like goes into a watch, and a metal screw in that baby's intestines. She is hospitalized. There's a picture of her in the hospital.
How big was the screw? Do you remember?
Do what?
How big was the screw? Do you remember?
Okay, there's 2 different identifications on the screw. One says it looked like a screw that could have come out of a watch, which would have been tiny.
Right.
The grandmother The grandmother on Nancy Grace says that it was like a tack screw, like a small 1/4 inch tack screw.
Okay.
So we're not going to get the autopsy until this case is over. So that's all we know at this point in time. But we just know that 3 of those batteries, which I researched what those batteries can do, and Google says that they contain heavy metal and acids that will eat away the inside of the stomach and intestine lining and cause erosion in the GI tract. It can cause internal bleeding and all kinds of other problems. But yeah, so she's hospitalized. There's a picture of her with a little polka dotted little black shirt on. She's got a pink pacifier in her mouth, and she's sitting in the hospital with her mom. And the look in the baby's eyes in that picture, because mom doesn't know what's going on, dad doesn't know
she doesn't feel good. You can see that
you
picture.
can just look in her eyes that
Yeah.
what is this baby going through? So the family said that when they learned that Iris had ingested these water beads in the battery, that they contacted authorities. Mom knows it didn't come from her house. And they made child youth services. Like I said, that's what they call it in Pennsylvania. We call it the CPS here. They made them aware. The authorities made court services aware. And she went to the court to try to stop visitation with dad. And the court said that they would go on CPS's findings, and CPS did a inspection of both homes, Bailey's and Emily's, and that there was no water beads found at either house. Well, we know that when the baby started passing them, she would not have she started passing them within a couple of hours after Emily got her on that Wednesday. So it wouldn't have, if Emily would have given them to her the minute she put her hands on that baby Thursday morning, they would not have passed within 2 hours. So it was obvious they had to have happened the day before. Same thing happens when she spends the weekend with dad, and by Sunday, she's passing them again. So it's obvious it's coming from the dad's house. But CYS says that it was unfounded, and their official comment was there was no foul play in either home. So I find that shocking. I find it shocking. But the court said visitation will continue as previously agreed on. And they did. And there was friction from that point on about that doesn't talk a lot. Like, I've only found a little bit that talks about the relationship between Emily and Bailey at that time. It was more, where did they come from? Instead of pointing fingers, it was more just, where did they come from? How did this happen? Right. We know where she's at. How did it happen? But you got to remember, dad's just as confused as mom is, because he's not understanding either what's happened. It's his job to understand what happens in his household, but he doesn't know what's happening either. Less than 3 months later, June the 25th, less than 3 months, Emily gets a call from Bailey at 4:11 p.m. on a Sunday evening. He says, get here quick. Iris is unresponsive. Bailey jumps in the car. She races over. As she pulls up, she arrives to them resuscitating her daughter in the back of the ambulance, and they've already bagged her daughter with a breathing apparatus. The girlfriend, Aleisia Owens, is standing behind the back of the ambulance crying. Bailey told Emily that Iris had just started vomiting, had become unresponsive. Iris is taken to UPMC Jameson and then flown by helicopter to Children's Hospital, and with Emily with her. So, according to Iris's dad and his girlfriend, that during that weekend visit, he had decided to leave Iris in Alicia's care just to run to the grocery store real quick. Now, remember, Emily always had a problem with, just promise me you will not leave our daughter with her because of her age and the patients. While he is preparing to check out at the grocery store, he gets a call from Aleisia which he hadn't been gone. He states in one thing, or in one article, not he states, but it's stated in one article that he had only been gone less than about 35 minutes. And I only seen that in one place, so I can't vet that, but it seems to coincide with the rest of the story. But he leaves his groceries when he gets the call from Aleisia. He leaves his groceries. He doesn't even pay for them. He leaves them on the counter and runs out, and he tells her, he's like, what happened? What happened? And she's like, I don't know. She just started throwing up and now she won't wake up. So he tells her to call 911, which she should have done first. And he rushes out of the grocery store and he runs home. She says she was feeding her and the baby just appeared. They have a mattress on the floor and she's feeding her on the mattress and says that she just balled up and was cramping up and that she fell off the bed. 6 inches now, right? 6 to 10 if it's a thick mattress. But
right.
then she,
that to be, I mean, I guess they're usually about a 6-inch mattress, unless you've got mine's humongous, but
right. So I mean, even at the most a foot, I mean,
yeah.
that would be pillow top. I mean, it would be a thick mattress. So, she just says the baby cramped up and fell off the bed. She tells the authorities that she is in nursing and she tried to perform chest compressions. Okay, now let's talk about that. She's in nursing. Instead of calling 911 first, which is the first thing we're taught in nursing, is CPR is you holler, someone call 911, and then you start your procedure for CPR, right? She doesn't. She calls dad, and dad has to tell her to call 911. So over the next 4 days, Iris is taken to Children's Hospital and they can't find what's wrong with her. They do suspect some child abuse because of a bruise on the back of her head, but her organs are shutting down and her brain is bleeding and it's swelling. And she is in a coma and she never gained consciousness again. Over the next 4 days, the doctors try everything to save her life. On that Monday, this happened on Sunday, on Monday evening, Iris has the hospital chaplain to come, and she has her mom with her, a few family members, and they baptize Iris in the hospital. And I think they already know, and this is Monday evening, that it's not looking good. Iris just continues to get worse and worse. They sit Emily down, and Bailey's there too. Bailey is there too, and says there's nothing else we can do. And it's left to Emily to make what has to be the most difficult decision in your life, to take your baby off of life support.
I could not imagine having to.
Me either.
I've thought about. I've had to with my dad. I've had to make that call for an adult. I had to do it with my brother, but a baby, my child.
Your child. I've always said if something happened to one of mine, I'm worthless.
She's not even 2. She's barely over a year old. She's 18 months. Just, I can't even imagine having to make that call.
It's heartbreaking. So they do pronounce, with her family by her side, holding her hand, praying that she'll just open her eyes. They do pronounce her dead on June the 29th of 2023. So they, the next day, on June the 30th, the assistant Allegheny County Medical Examiner performs an autopsy on baby Iris. At this point in time, there's suspicion that maybe she was shaken or, something like that. They don't know. They do the autopsy and they do a 10-page report, and he performs a detailed visual autopsy, and he performs the physical, and he examines the brain and the blood, the results and all that. He found that Iris's blood was acidic and that there was ketones or acid in her blood, high levels of protein. And the level of acetone in her blood was 0.32. The level that is lethal for an adult is 0.04 to 0.05.
Okay, so let's break those numbers down real quick. For lethal for an adult, an average, let's say 150-pound person is 0.03, right? Is that what you said?
Point for an adult is average out to 0.05.
0.05. Okay. And for an adult,
for an adult, a full-grown adult,
weight, we're just going to say 150. And a child, Iris she probably weighed what, 12 pounds? Well, no, at 18 months, she's
probably about 22, 23 pounds.
And she's got, what were the levels again?
0.32.
So 7 times the lethal limit? Yeah.
For an adult. Yes.
Oh, shit.
I tried looking it up. What was the percentage for a child? And it's just almost unheard of. Like, it doesn't take near nothing for acetone that we all have in our houses to kill.
He has a question for her. She says, let me put it up on screen. And acetone is never something that is typically found at any level, correct?
Right.
Correct.
Right.
We would not normally have acetone in our bodies because it is a chemical.
Oh, it's just so sad. So the investigation continues, and at this point in time, they haven't alerted the family what the cause of death is. So let's leave that right there, and let's go over to Aleisia Owens. While this is going on, while this baby is laying in the hospital,
and I refuse to put pretty pictures of her up. We're going to have her arrest photo up because she doesn't.
That's the only one I could find of her.
She doesn't deserve anything of respect.
Right. While this baby is laying in the hospital in a coma, slowly dying, she is Googling how to pass a lie detector test. Okay. We don't know that at the time. Family don't know that. The family definitely has questions because they know she was left alone with her, but they're not thinking this, right? They're not thinking this.
Right. They're thinking maybe it was an accident. She dropped her.
Or that she did abuse her. Like, that she did when Daddy left, because the family had said there was a lot of jealousy between her and the way that Bailey still got along with Emily, that there was a lot of jealousy there for that little 19, 20-year-old girl. Like, there's just, so they were thinking that maybe she did do something to her on purpose, but they're not thinking this.
Right.
So, the investigation continues, and I want to give a high five to what Bailey and the family calls their heroes, because we have some heroes in this story. And I think it goes without saying that we all get on here and we tell these true crime stories, and we do our homework and our research, and we pull court files, and we watch hours of documentaries and stuff. And very seldom do we say anything about the authorities or the detectives. We're quick to call them bad, but in this situation, we have some that really stood out. And the Newcastle police chief, Robert Salem, was one of them that didn't stop. But he's not even the one that they call their hero. Brandon Hollowick is the one that decided to get a court order and demand everyone's electronic gadgets, right? Everything you got's electronic. He went and got a court order, and he pulled them all.
For everybody connected, all of the family.
Including Emily. Everyone connected, he got their electronics. And they were kind of baffled. They knew that at this point in time still, they have not released to the family that acetone is what killed this baby. They just, she's the brain, for one thing, in the state of Pennsylvania, and it could be this way in other states, but because of my deep dive, I know that it's what happens in Pennsylvania. When an infant under the age of 5 dies, automatically the County Medical Examiner will examine the brain, but the brain itself, they will take tissues after they examine it, but the brain itself is sent to an outside lab to make sure that they both get the same results, right? So until those reports would have come back, they're not going to let the family know. The authorities know, but the family doesn't know. So during this time, they're doing interrogations, and I cannot wait to get my hands after this trial is
Oh,
over
I know it. We need
on
to
those
screen the trial.
interrogations, right? They're going to be something.
So, Oasis says this is so sad. Seems so many cases, nothing is done for child abuse or DV until tragedy strikes, and it's too late.
This is why this case is so important to me, because they tried to tell CPS something's not right here. If CPS would have just taken this child out of the home it was so obvious that it happened in this certain home, right? If they would have just taken the baby, stopped visitation, or had dad come over to the grandparents' house and visit until we can figure out, is this going to happen again? How did it happen? And made sure that it was made to the court order that dad can't leave the baby with anyone else. And neither could mom, right? What goes good for dad should go good for mom.
Right.
Something went wrong somewhere. And they just, because they couldn't find water beads, they just let everything go back to the way it was. So, and in one of the interviews where Brandon Hollowick, the Newcastle police officer, he even goes at CPS. He's like, we told them, our whole department told them that something wasn't right here and they needed to step in. So, like I said, during this time when this family is grieving and is going through all these interrogations, Brandon Hollowick steps up and decides, I want you gadgets. He includes everyone in the family. He includes even Emily. And what is said about Bailey at this time is that he's very cooperative. He is devastated. He is willing to talk to them at any time. He was very willing to hand his phone over. So I've seen a lot of talk about dad. And I think he was young and regrets leaving his baby with her. I mean, I'm sure he could go back and do it over. He would see the dangers, but I do not believe he had anything to do with this or was aware that anything was being done to his baby. Not everyone has that opinion. And I do understand the other side is that it's his responsibility. Doesn't matter if he knows or not. It's his responsibility to keep her safe. But I really don't believe he had any knowledge of what was happening.
I think, I hate to go, they are young. And men don't necessarily always have those protection instincts that us mothers have. And
I think they do, but in a different way.
And I think that, this is where I'm going to be crude, and I don't mean to be crude, but I don't know how to put this. Women are very powerful with what is between their legs, and a lot of men do not see past that. And I don't think he was thinking clearly with the proper head on his body.
Oh, you're talking about putting the girlfriend first?
Yes.
I can't find much on it.
Well,
I get what you're saying, that he what I have found about it is it seems like there was very well known to people that knew Aleisia and Bailey together that the friction in their relationship was Emily. Not so much Iris, but Emily. And that's people that's come out now after the fact, 2020, or hindsight. They've come out and said that they knew that she despised Emily because Bailey and Emily still had such a good relationship together, but never would have dreamed she would have hurt the baby. So if anybody should have seen the red flags, it should have been Bailey, right? It's his daughter. It's his responsibility, but I don't know the dynamics between them.
Right, Oasis. Oasis says, this reminds me of Gannon in so many ways. It really does.
It does. It
Oh,
really does. But I think fathers are just as protective as moms are. I think, though, sometimes in a different way. We see that, we see a toddler sitting in the floor and there's a balloon, right? Let's say there's a balloon. The dads might think, let's play with the balloon. Mothers see choking hazard.
right. We
Where,
see them in the balloon playing with it popping and then them choking on the little pieces
right.
of
I
it.
mean, I just believe it's a different
Yeah,
way. But I think where dads is going to protect them against the boys coming knocking on the door and the evil of
right,
the world,
right.
moms are in there saying, no, you can't have another, bottle of Pepsi. It'll rot your teeth. It's like we're different in different
Men
ways.
don't have that nurturing aspect. Most men. My brother did. My brother raised my nephew, and he was amazing at being a nurturer to my nephew.
I think
And
some do, some don't.
but it's not ingrained in men. It's not, but obviously it's not ingrained in women either, because we've got a woman that just did something
Right.
horrible
I
to this
think it goes
child.
both ways. I just believe it goes both ways. And I think it's an individual thing. I've seen some fathers that are, my grandson's father is one of the best. I mean, him and my daughter are divorced now, but he is still very much a hands-on father and loves that boy with everything in him. Where with my kids' father, they didn't care. They just
Right.
didn't care, you know. But I think it's an individual thing, and it probably has a lot to do with the way they grow up too. Was their father in their life? Did they realize what a father, I just believe a lot of things go into that. So to get back to the story, where the baby is now, the autopsy's being done, and he gets the electronics, and he pulls the electronics, and he finds out that she has, wait for this now, right? That not only did she Google how to pass a lie detector test, but she Googled in the beginning of March, which is right before the first hospital stay, what beauty products are poisonous to kids? What
Oh crap.
normal medications will lead to accidental poisoning death in children? What happens if a child drinks fingernail polish remover? Poisonous beauty products that are poisonous. Water beads near me. What happens if a baby swallows a button battery? And then medications that shouldn't be given to babies. Was all on her Google search.
Listen, I'm gonna do a little bit devil's advocate. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit devil's advocate. I'm trying. Some of those searches could have been because Bailey maybe asked, or informed her that Emily said she had water beads in her diaper. So let's look up what happens if a baby swallows water beads. That could be a possibility. I would have been the mother that would have looked up what happens if a baby swallows water beads. I don't know that I would have looked up what chemicals and beauty products are dangerous, but after the fact of something coming out that doctor says she had this or that, then I probably would have looked it up.
Okay, but the problem with that is she looked this up before it happened.
Well, I said I was trying to play devil's advocate.
Okay,
because
Mrs. Defense Attorney.
because we would have after the fact looked that up. What happens if this happens? I found this in my child's diaper. We'd have done that. But
Yeah,
no,
of course we'd have done that. But she looked up water. She looked up what does water beads do, do to a child. And then her next one was water beads near me.
yeah,
Within a week later, the baby is pooping water beads.
she's looking for the water beads. If you're looking water beads near me, you're looking
right.
Where
She's trying to find them.
Oh, Ace says,
So,
why do people search this crap? Hands prosecution the case on a silver platter.
right. Right. I've always told my kids, don't ever talk to the police. A lot of innocent people go to prison. If you're innocent, it's even more reason that you
Right.
get an attorney. If you're innocent, you get an attorney quicker than if you're not innocent.
So let's go back to my, I always talk Dr. Phil, and because I've watched him for years, but he has said, do not, for one, don't even take, if they hand you a water bottle, you walk out of there with that water bottle. You don't leave it there. Don't answer questions without an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
They ask you your name. I want my attorney. You don't do anything without an attorney. Don't take a water bottle from them. All of those things. So innocent or guilty doesn't matter, because
right, a lot of innocent people go to prison,
case, and they're going to do that at whatever cost.
Mm-hmm. And not everyone behind the badge is an honest person.
So Rapid says, to be fair, I don't think people who commit these kinds of crimes are the smartest people.
That's my kid.
They're not. I figured it was because of a comment he said while ago. I took a picture of it to send it to you.
Hey, what?
He said he had a funny comment while ago. I took a picture of it to send it to
you. Yeah, that's my kid. So anyway, then the autopsy comes back. The family is informed that this baby died of intentional acetone, and that, it was very much done on purpose. And this is what the Google search is. And it took 7 months, 7 months. And the family, during this time of finding out that this is what the baby died of, to the time they make an arrest, is 7 months. But it takes time for those results of those electronics to come back, because if you don't freely give your password, they must run them, and it's a process, and it doesn't happen quickly.
So I have one question here, and we didn't talk about it yet. I mean, I can go pull it up so we can show it, but because you and I've had this conversation, but in the obituary that they had, they didn't name Bailey at all as a surviving parent or anything, but they didn't know she was responsible for this yet to blame him. So I'm curious. I'd like to find that out. Why?
I disagree. I think they very much knew she was responsible, but I think they thought that it was more physical abuse, because they were still waiting on the autopsy at that time. They didn't even have even the basics. They just knew that she had a lot of signs of baby's shaken syndrome, right? So I believe that they were very much on that it was her, or possibly even him too. I don't know, but there's a reason why none of his family and him shows up on that obituary. But I do know, and I know this is getting further in the story, but I do know that a lot of people come at Emily because she is still today friends with Bailey to this day. And she finally announced it on Facebook. I sent you a screenshot of it, that she told the world that how her and Iris's father decides to grieve and lean on each other during these hard times is her and his business alone, and the world needs to back off, because it proved in his phone that he had no knowledge of what this woman was doing to his baby.
Right, and I think that he is equally grieving, just like she is,
and guilt. He's got to be carrying guilt.
He's got a whole lot more guilt. Let's go back to Gannon real quick. His daddy had a lot of guilt for trusting Letitia with his child, and then having to play. If you've watched the trial on that, the video call, the phone calls, recorded phone calls, he had to play nice, and he had to pretend that he didn't see her as the monster to catch her in her lies.
Right.
And so there's a lot of guilt that they carry. And so my heart kind of breaks for him here, because I don't think this was anything he intentionally done.
No.
I think he was blinded, but that happens to all of us. You know what I mean?
And as mothers, we know how hard it is when they're 18 months old. You just got to run to Kroger real quick and grab something for supper. It's diaper bags and car seats, and him just running to grab something at the grocery store and back. He never dreamed this would happen. He never dreamed this would happen. So 7 months later, Aleisia Owens, 20 years old, was charged with 3 counts of homicide, 5 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 account of endangering the welfare of a child, because they went back and also charged her for the March crime that happened on the baby too, because now because of her phone, they've proven, and there was more proof too, not just her phone, but there was more proof that she purchased the water beads and that she had Googled all of this stuff, and they charged her. And it was nearly 7 months during that time of the autopsy coming out that this is what it was, and the arrest was 7 months later. And during that time, they did not let it rest. They had candlelight visuals. They did all kinds of fundraisers because CPS failed the system, right? CPS failed this child. And
And real quick, I don't remember the ages, but Oasis asked, how old were the bio parents when the baby died?
they would have been 22 when she died. Almost 23.
Oh, I couldn't remember if it was 22 or 23.
Yeah, they were almost 23. Both of them were almost 23, just a couple of weeks from 23. So she's arrested. The only picture and the only clip that we have of her is her walking out in handcuffs. She is emotionless. She's not crying. She's stone-faced. It's the picture that you see where she has her mugshot. That's how her hair was fixed. That was the look she had on her face. And the court gave her no bond. No bond. And there is kind of another hero in this, which besides Brandon Holloway, there was another one, and I had a whole thing on her, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about her, but she is the state prosecutor, and you kind of hit the gold mine when you have a prosecutor like her, because she was over the child abuse division for 18 years before she made her climb up the ladder to be now the state attorney. Wow. And she wasn't letting this rest at all. So she was going to see it all the way through. So a statement from Crystal Joseph, which would be the great aunt of Iris. She said, please let the world know that monsters do exist, and watch for personality changes in parents when you begin to date. Parents, do not be so eager to leave your children in the care of people who show any kind of jealousy or hatred towards the other parent.
I'm looking up a statistic level real quick. Not that I can spell statistic today. You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brandon Hollowick, who received an accommodation for his exceptional work in the baby Iris case, he made it up to corporal because of this case, and can't find much that's about Aleisia on her private life. Before this happened, all her social media was taken down or deleted. You can't even find a picture of her anywhere except her mugshot. And they did have her preliminary hearing, just happened last month. And this is the hearing that says whether or not, yes, we're going forward with, trial. Do the accusations, are they substantial enough that this is going forward? And Emily had to get up on the stand, and she relived these moments of how it happened. And from reporters that were in the courtroom said that Aleisia sat there dry-eyed, stone-faced, and showed no emotions whatsoever.
So I looked up the statistic. I cannot say that word today. Statistics for children living in homes with unrelated adults. And it's children residing in households with unrelated adults were nearly 50 times as likely to die of inflicted injuries than children residing with two biological parents.
Well, we know, right? I mean, we've done so much research on the new girlfriend or the new boyfriend, and it goes equally both ways. At first, I just kept seeing the girlfriends are the ones doing this, but it does go both ways. That it's not rare. It's common.
Sadly, it's not. We used to focus on, they were more likely to physically, sexually assault a child.
Mm-hmm. Well, those percentages are high too.
Yes. And so we never thought about the unaliving aspect of things. And now we're seeing that is in my opinion, seems to be on a rise, on an extreme increase in cases. Is it social media? Is it the pandemic shutting us down like we were? Or is it social media that's making us more aware of it? I don't know. But the number of cases is astounding.
It is. And I feel so bad. You also won't find much on Bailey. He has completely locked down his social media too. He did make a post last month where he had Iris's face put on his chest. And you know that by the proof of the phone, this father had no knowledge of this, right? I mean, we all mostly agreed with that. I've only seen a few people that really crucified him. But if the mother of this child, who the sun set and rose in this child, if she trusts that the father had no knowledge of it, then I'm going to go with her opinion. And she commented on his Facebook post where he got the tattoo, and the guilt that he's living with of what happened to his baby.
Right.
But
well, because he's got the whole what ifs. What if I'd have listened to Emily?
Right. He's got the guilt and the grief and the guilt. And I'm sure Emily does too.
Or did he ever even question himself in the process? Did he ever walk out that door and go, something doesn't feel right? No, it'll be right, kind of thing. Did he ever? And he's got to live with that for the rest of his life. And I mean, my heart really breaks for both of them, but my heart really does break for him, especially seeing that he wasn't included on the obituary. Those kinds of things bother me, and I'm sure they have their reasons. And I understand that mama has the right to make her choices 100%, but he's still the daddy, and that kind of broke my heart for him.
I truly believe at that time when they did the obituary that they didn't know. They didn't know if he was involved or if he did it. I really believe that when something like that happens, the first thing that you want to do is place blame, right? Somebody's responsible. Who did this? And I think if it was me and something would have happened to one of mine in the care of their father, it would be hard for me not, even if I find out later that he had no knowledge of it. In that moment, I'm grieving, and I just feel like I would have blamed myself and anybody that I could have. Maybe his family did their own thing, but I couldn't find it. And I do agree, it's sad that he's not there. He's not.
See, I looked too after you and I had talked about the obituary thing and tried to question it. I went looking to see if I could find it, and there's nothing.
Right. He's locked everything down. Like I said, the only thing that I found is the tattoo that he had of Iris, and it's the picture that the main picture, the one with the pink background that's on all of her fundraisers and stuff. That was the picture that he had put on his chest. And he says I forget what he put under it, but something about my angel or something. And Bailey and Emily liked it. And like I told you, that means that she still has to be on his Facebook post.
Right.
So that's where we are now. She goes to court around the end of this year. I can't remember. I think it's October. I could be wrong about that. It might be August, but I'm pretty sure it's October that they're actually go to court. I suspect there'll be a plea deal.
I can't think of what the name of it is. Is it the law that they're is it Cayman's law? What is the crap? I can't think of what it is.
I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to think of.
The hold on. I'm gonna go to their Facebook page because it's on there.
This family, though, they are really dedicated at changing the way laws are set in place for child protective services, and they're been very proactive of holding judges responsible, of not just CPS but judges responsible. And when there is real concern, and I've never dealt with CPS personally. I've never had any trouble, but I have friends that has dealt with CPS, and I've seen children removed that should have never been removed, and I've seen children that has faced years and years of going hungry and SA and other things. And CPS never get involved enough to really protect those children. So it's a broken system, and this family is determined to change laws and make a change. And they're still doing fundraisers and all kinds of candlelight things. They did a balloon release not that long ago. There's a fighter in Pennsylvania, and I forget his name, and I didn't put it down, but he's a boxer, and he's well known. He's very well known, and he has taken up this case as far as being a spokesperson and a representative of somebody with a platform that's going to try to see this through. And he's got his name every time he walks in the ring. He's got Iris's name on the corner of his right boxer, or his short legs.
So I'm gonna pull this up. I pulled up the Cadence law that I was talking about, because that's what they share in their thing a lot. Is this here, and it's known as Cadence Law PN 65. Would require an evidentiary hearing during child custody proceedings to vet allegations, new or old, of abuse. The primary change proposed by SB 78 is to create a presumption that a parent with any history of abuse, no matter how old, against any household member will only be allowed supervised visitation. SB 78 specifically removes the requirement that the threat be ongoing. This bill would also expand the types of criminal convictions that must be considered against a parent, now including simple assault against any person. Combined, this will likely trigger traumatic suspensions of contact between mothers and their children, with nearly impossible barriers to reestablish contact, both because the presumption of supervised visitation has no expiration date and because of the enormous financial penalties that can accompany a finding of a history of abuse. Drafted in response to the tragic murder of Caden Mancuso by her biological father, there is no question that the intent of this bill is to protect children and avoid future tragedies. Unfortunately, as filed, SB 78 will likely harm the children and mothers it is designed to protect. So there's some work that needs to be done on this. And I think that's what they are trying to push, is to have some changes done so that when they go to CPS and say, we suspect this happened, or we are concerned about this, or they look at it a little differently, and parents have the right now to step in and not let a child go back until things are looked at.
And that's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, right, because if she would have said, no, she's not going back to her father's until we know, then she's in contempt. And that's right, when these courts will take the child away from whichever parent is refusing visitation.
Right.
But
I think it's a slippery slope. I understand what they're trying to do, but is it going to help, or is it going to make things worse, kind of thing? And we know the system is already overrun.
And it's also a weapon that
right,
parents use when you've got right, that mother that don't like that dad is going on with his life.
That's where I was headed, because sometimes they will do the allegations and they will
they'll be false.
And they'll coach their children to say things that aren't true and get parents removed. And so it's all a double-edged sword, but I mean, something different needs to be where parents can protect, because your hands are tied.
Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, in this case, There should have been supervised visitation for mom and dad, because mom and dad both were investigated. And we know what happened at dad's house, but I'm just trying to look at it through the CPS's worker's eyes. She doesn't know, or he doesn't know, if it's mom's house or dad's house. The baby passed balloons at both houses.
Right.
It's just the visitation with dad lines up when it happened. So we've got two outstanding grandparents that are, moral citizens and established in their own right. Let's have visitation for a few months until we can find out what's going on here.
Right, where they're thoroughly investigating both sides. Oasis says exactly, you cannot decide yourself to disregard court orders. And just because past DV against a spouse, as an example, doesn't mean child abuse will happen. This also opens parental alienation and lies.
Right. I think it's a very double-edged sword. I get the point for it. And if everybody was honest, moms and dads and children, because, we're also talking now, when you're talking about that, you're not just talking about 18-month-olds. You're talking about 11 and 12-year-olds that got their phone taken away. So they're going to lie about stepdad, or something like, that happens too. It's just, I don't think that's the answer. I don't have an answer, but I don't think that's the answer. It's just, it's too weaponized.
Talking with JoJo says it really starts at the local and county levels. Throughout the county, CPS is usually county regulated, which brings its own sets of failures.
Wow.
There's a case that happened in Houston a couple of years ago. I had covered it, where CPS failed, and the mom and the boyfriend left the children in an apartment, and for a year, mind you, a year they were in this apartment while mom and boyfriend lived somewhere else, while one of the siblings they had murdered was stuffed in the closet.
I remember that case.
CPS, I mean,
and
they
the
were
kids lied for them.
Yeah, they're like, well, they're not going to school. Where are they? And they would show up and nobody would answer the door. And, you've got people all around reporting that the apartment smells, if it smells because there was a decaying body in it. Right. And nobody investigated. CPS didn't go and investigate. There was open cases, open files on this family, and nothing was done. And they finally found the one boy was sleeping on the slide outside and begging for food and all of this. And they finally went in and did something. And it's heartbreaking. It's just, the system's overloaded, so overloaded.
But it needs more money. It needs more funding.
It does need more funding.
CPS is automatically the enemy. I mean, it just seems like it's the parent against them. You don't want your kids lost in the system. You don't want the state involved in your parenting. And you see TikTok after TikTok, video after video of parents are getting smarter when CPS shows up at their door for some unknown reason or a legitimate reason. They start videoing them and, let me see your court order. You're not coming in my house. And parents now are scared to even reach out to CPS because it turns so bad. Mm-hmm. It's like, they're supposed to be there to help. They're supposed to be there. It's not just to take your children from you. It's to protect the children. And if the parents aren't protecting the children, or ever who, the guardian is of the child, then and if you're going to put that kind of responsibility on a government division, then they need to be funded enough where there is enough workers, there's enough investigators, but I mean, it's like kind of like school teachers. They don't get paid enough to do what they do. And then when they mess up bad. And it seems like they mess up more than they get it right, or at least that's the cases that we hear of. But I was trying to go back and read comments. I see Chase's comment about, he kind of agrees with you, Brandy, about he's 23. He probably wasn't looking past Alicia's.
Look, there's power what's in a woman's pants in that age.
Mm-hmm. But here's what also come out on her phone. The very day that he left the baby with her and went to the store, they had been fighting on the phone through text messages that she is tired of not getting none of his attention. And I didn't put it down exactly what her text said, but so she was fighting with him.
Emily, she was jealous of Iris.
Right. And she was fighting with the dad that you don't give me enough of attention. So she was eliminating the problem. She was eliminating the problem. But if you go on Facebook and you look for Iris's Angels,
I have
it
it.
is a great little community to stay up to date. And
Well, I
they've
thought
got,
I've got it open, and there's one of the videos up. Y'all want to watch that real quick? It's of her playing with the bubbles.
oh, okay, it's cute.
She's so adorable, so stinking adorable.
She was JoJo. She was jealous of mom and dad's co-parenting relationship, and very jealous of Iris.
Let's see. Where's the sound on it? There it is. Let's make sure. Can y'all see that?
Ready?
We need a better background.
Like, she's just so precious.
And mom would buy their outfits a lot, like almost every holiday, and just going out to town, mom would dress her just like she was a mom mini-me. They had swimsuits just alike. And at Halloween they did the Incredibles, where she was the mom Incredible and the baby was the little baby Incredible, and I forget which ones they are. It's been so long since I've seen that show. And they dressed alike at the pumpkin patch and Thanksgiving.
Mama and Minnie.
Yes. And I mean, it's just that it's so heartbreaking. And
oh, look at this. Matching bathing suits, even their shorts, guys.
my mind goes back to,
That's so precious.
how did this woman, and I'm sure if I'm Emily, I don't even want to think about this, but how did this woman get this baby to ingest this stuff? Was it as simple as putting it in something and the baby eating it? Or was there force? I mean, I have a hard time thinking you could get a baby at 8. Now, if the baby was 6 months old, you could put it in a bottle and let the baby drink it. But at 18 months old, and everybody's got a different opinion about this, but I just don't think babies at 18 months old, you give them something they don't like, they're spitting it out.
Yeah, I have to wonder, was there a way, is there something that hides the taste? Because that stuff's got an awful taste.
Well, here's why I don't think that's what happened. In the autopsy, on the stand during the preliminary hearing, we get clips of what the medical examiner said and the state medical examiner. And he said that the back of the baby's mouth and the esophagus was burned. So that means it wasn't mixed with much. If it was still strong enough to burn that delicate tissue, then I think it was forced.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah. So then it probably wouldn't have been put in something.
Mm-mm. Now, I know like stuff like antifreeze, a lot of people use that, and a lot of people use eye drops. That can go undetected because it supposedly has a sweet taste to it, or the eye drops has no taste.
Right.
So, and all of that stuff is deadly, but you're talking acetone. You can walk into a room or a house where somebody's
burns my nose just when going to get my nails done when they're using it.
Right. But I mean, if you walk in a house where there's nothing going on except my daughter painting her nails or taking her fingernail polish off, that smell hits you the minute you walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't expect that she could have put it in anything that would have eliminated that taste, and for it to be so strong that it still burnt her back of her throat and her esophagus. But the smell is just so strong. And I've never in my life thought about acetone, and we all have it in our houses, right? I mean, we all do. And how deadly and how minimal. They said that she would have had that it would have been less than 2 ounces to be at the levels that she was. Man, that's almost nothing. But really, if y'all get a chance, join Iris's page, Iris's Angels on Facebook.
Here,
Emily's
I'll get the
very
link. Let me
much
get the link
active
for you.
over there. The grandparents and the aunt are very active on the page. They're
Let me
always
get the page link for everybody.
doing some kind of fundraiser, and they all say if you can't give just the support and getting her army, they call themselves Iris's Army, and they're making waves. They're making waves to bring change.
Oh, I didn't mean to hit that already. Hold on. I hit enter before I posted it. Got ahead of myself. There's the link to the Facebook page, guys. Make sure y'all give them a follow.
Oasis, I agree with that. And I do believe it's a lot to get down. I mean, if you pour 2 ounces out, it's not much, but then again, it is, right? To have that. And they said with her body weight and her levels by day 5, because the autopsy was the day after, right? That it would have had to be in between 1 and 2 ounces that was ingested. And I just think that's got to be forced.
Which you would think could have even drowned her at that, because it doesn't take but a tablespoon of water to drown the baby.
Well, there's a bruise on the back of her head. She blames the bruise on the back of her head that she fell off the mattress. Well, now we know there probably wasn't a fall from the mattress, but there easily could have been a bruise on the back of her head if she was holding that head down,
right,
on
and
something hard,
yeah,
while she made that baby ingest that.
Yeah, Asa says, I can't even imagine getting a quarter of a teaspoon of acetone down without vomiting.
Right.
Yeah, it's right at a quarter of a cup. That's really a lot of acetone. Oh.
And to think that she was standing behind the ambulance crying when Emily got there, seeing her baby being resuscitated. And if she would have said then, she accidentally got into my fingernail polish remover.
Right.
Maybe they could have done something.
But done it as an accident instead of.
Right. But she only wanted to protect her own ass. But on the other side of that, there is no, if someone's dying of heroin ingestion, right? Overdose, there's a reactor to that. They can bring you back from that. There is no known activator for acetone to stop the damage that it's going to do. There's none.
Mm-mm-mm.
But that is the end of what I've got on it. Only thing we can wait for now is court. I'm sure she's going to plea out. They most of the time do. The family don't really have a lot of say in that. They ask the family certain things, but at the end of the day, it's up to the prosecution. I just feel like she will. It's just one of them cases that she don't have no grounds to stand on. But until that happens, that's what we're waiting on. As soon as that happens and she is sentenced, we will do a FOIA request and request the interrogations. And I want to see the electronic printout. I want to see what all was said.
What were the
and
charges?
We'll do a part 2.
I don't remember right off the top of my head. What are the exact charges again? The Oasis says are the charges murder 1, and I can't remember exactly what they are.
Hang on. Let me pull it back. She was charged with I just seen it and then clicked. She was charged with 3 counts of homicide. Doesn't say first degree or none. Just says 3 counts of homicide, 5 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child. I'm sure it's murder one. It's
Basically,
premeditated.
they're throwing everything they can at the wall, so that because see that's why Casey Anthony got away with murder, because they charged her one way. They didn't put other things on the table for the jury to look at. So a lot of times they will throw a lot of these charges on there because it gives the jury options.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean,
so April
first degree
says-
murder is premeditated, and they have the proof of the
Right,
premeditation.
yeah, there's plenty of proof. April says, I mean, if you have a cut on your finger and you get your nails done and they use acetone, it burns so bad. This precious angel went through hell. 100%. If she goes to trial, we kind of think that she'll plea out. If she goes to trial, I would like to try to be able to stream it.
Yeah, I would love to stream it too.
So that's something we're going to be watching to do.
And I'm sure in this case, because they will ask the family, it's ultimately the judge's decision whether it's televised, but because of the work the family is doing, and they want Iris's story out there, and they want the precaution of what's happened to try to save other babies, if the family is asked, they most likely will want it televised, and that goes a long way with the judge.
Because they want eyes on this. They want
Yes.
They want change to happen so this does not happen to another baby.
So we sit and wait.
Yeah.
And we all only thing
We
that
have
we
a
can
date for
count
the
on
next
at this
hearing?
point is she's behind bars and she's got no bond, and she's not going to see the light of day for any time soon, if ever.
Do we have a date for the next hearing?
It's either August or October. Let me look it up real quick. I can't believe I left that part out. January 24th.
So we have 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! I hate that they wait so dang long.
But think about it. This just happened in 2023, in June of 2023. Things are moving pretty fast in this case. Most of these cases take 2 and 3 years to see a courtroom.
Yeah, I know.
They did reschedule the preliminary hearing. The preliminary hearing was supposed to have been in March, and they rescheduled it for April the 9th. And so they did reschedule that because of something that come up. But January the 24th is no, wait. No, I'm wrong. The first preliminary hearing was for January 24th. Hang on for a minute. That's not our date. I'm almost sure I seen August or October. Okay, it says end of October, but it doesn't give a specific date.
Okay.
Yeah, end of October.
Okay. All righty. So we'll be watching on that, and
We'll definitely follow up on it.
yeah.
And I'll get as much as I can from the courts. There's one YouTube channel that as soon as interrogations are released, they have them on these big profile cases like this. So
Hi, Marissa. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, we'll have to keep following this case all the way through.
mm-hmm.
So Asa says, I have a question about a different past case, unrelated. Should I private message you on TikTok? I told her to go ahead and just ask if she wanted to. So I'm waiting to see if she posts anything. Doing good, Mariska. How are you? Oh, Lord. I should have known it was a gypsy one.
Oh, God.
If Gypsy was homeschooled, wouldn't there be records of that beginning in 2nd and 3rd grade? Just confused about the whole homeschool thing. Every state is different. So no, probably not. Because
I have a different outlook on all this crap going on right now about her homeschooling. You've got to remember that Dee Dee convinced the world
that she had leukemia.
That she was mentally disabled and was deathly ill.
Right.
So if she was taken out of school, some people are saying that she went to school up until she was in second or third grade, that Gypsy herself said those kind of things. I've never seen it, but even if that's out there,
she was in school, and Dee Dee's overprotectiveness, she pulled her out of school and started homeschooling her.
And homeschool is easy to do. I pulled Chase out when he was in sixth grade, and it was simple as going to.
You don't have to regulate it. You just buy your curriculum yourself. You do whatever.
Right.
There's no. That's why it's harder to get into college with homeschooling in some aspects because of the testing. You have to go and have tests done to show that you even know the material, because you still have to know the material to get into college. So it ends up looking like a GED kind of
when
thing.
I took Chase out, we had to have what was called an umbrella school. So I went to the Christian Academy school, and they were a homeschooling umbrella school. We worked under their curriculum. We had to turn our paperwork into them so that he stayed, a number of days that he attended class and all of that stuff. It's as simple now as paying a little bit of money online, and your whole homeschool is a ad online. So, and there's no regulation.
Right.
That's for Tennessee. I don't know about other states, but this whole big thing they're making out of this schooling thing and bringing it proves this and it proves that. It don't prove nothing. Nothing. She was presented to the world as a mentally disabled child that was deathly ill.
Oasis says, I thought that all children are required to be educated in some way and prove it, even if it's a different curriculum. Just wondering if Dee forged documents and sent them in, or if it was just overlooked. Every state's going to be different. When I homeschooled mine, I didn't have to turn anything in.
I did.
And I did not.
I did. Because I homeschooled Chase under an umbrella school, I had to do a monthly attendance. I had to turn that in. And then, when they do TCAPs in school and stuff like that, I would have to still take him, even though I homeschooled him, I would still have to take him to the Christian Academy school once a year for him to be tested with the TCAPs or whatever standardized test there was to make sure to see where he was at. Now, it wouldn't have mattered if he was advanced or he was under. They didn't do nothing. We got the results back, but they didn't tell us what we needed to do or what we were doing good. It was literally just a piece of paper come in the mail that told us what his scores were. But I did have to have the paperwork turned in monthly of his hours, and it was easy. There would be some times that we would really hit it hard, then there would be something going on that some weeks we didn't. The weeks that we didn't, I still filled out the paper that we did so many hours a day. They never checked anything. So for a parent that was trying to pull what they were pulling, if they would have had an umbrella school, all they had to do is fill out the paperwork and send it in. It wouldn't have been nothing, no big deal.
I pulled up Louisiana homeschool law. Options for homeschooling. There's 2 options for homeschooling. Let's see. Homeschooling as a home study program and homeschooling as a home-based private school.
I guess mine would have been a home study because I was under another school.
It does say notification required. We'll see what that says when I click that. In Louisiana, there are 2 options under which you can legally homeschool. After choosing one of the following options, follow the listed steps. So you do have to apply.
But would she have had to with what she was selling to Dixie?
And that is now. I don't, like, this is current. So this might have been different.
Yeah, many, many years ago.
The late 90s.
So we can't even go by what the regulations are.
Right.
Now,
so I guess I should look up regulations because they could be a lot different. Because I homeschooled mine in early, let's see. Yeah, 98, 99 was when I homeschooled mine. And Gypsy's the same age as mine. So regulations could be a lot different from now to then.
I think it was obvious that she had no education. If you go back and you look at some of the Facebook posts that she made, and her spelling and her verbiage and all of that compared to how she writes now, I don't believe there was much of an education. We know that she texts back and forth we've seen the text messages. There's nothing in there that shows much of a crazy. I mean, she can spell and write, but that doesn't mean that she
Right.
knows what would get you a GED.
Right.
Like there's a lot of kids that went to school that didn't get their diplomas that went to school.
Well, and she had to finish school in jail while she was
Right, but
in
they're making a
prison.
big deal that it took her 5 years. She had no standardized
Right.
education.
And who cares how fucking long it took? Is that what
I don't know why that's such
nobody wants
some
anything?
way
Is that,
to. It's
is that
just
what
another way to try to humiliate her.
is that what
But
the new thing is this weekend? Because I haven't watched anything.
I've seen a couple of videos. I unfollowed a couple of people today that I had been following just because I'm tired of everything's a dig. I mean, I get what Gypsy's doing is not great, and definitely don't support any of that stuff, but it's just like you're making fun of stuff that affects other people.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of people that struggled that didn't get a GED or had to work really hard to get it, and I don't know.
Well, I caught something the other day. I'm not going to say where I caught it, but it was somebody going on that Gypsy's the one that introduced the BDSM stuff and the role play to Nicholas, and that was being denied, that it was not him, that it was all her, da 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 da. Well, that's funny because I remember several emails and correspondence with 2 previous girlfriends of his, one who was still a friend, and them talking and telling us about their lifestyle choices
With
with
him.
Nicholas and role play. So people change their thought process and their opinions based on their attitude, and
Well, they're basing that on supposedly Dan said that Gypsy introduced it to him. Dan is a factual criminal.
right.
Like we're going to now believe because Dan said it, then, and of course, everybody wants everything that comes out of Gypsy's mouth to be a lie. And we know there's been a bunch of lies told, but that doesn't mean everything she says is a lie. But now she's lost any kind of credibility. But because Dan said it, Dan's going to say anything to make himself look good, that he wasn't dating a very young kid.
While he was married, he was in
While he was married, a 30-year-old that was a child that looked sick.
12, right.
And that he's banging in the hotel. But now he's got credibility because he said that she introduced it to him. So I don't know. I can't stand these
I haven't
yappers.
seen that he actually said that. I think that's been a rumor. People look. It doesn't matter what he says at this point, guys. She's not going back to prison for it. She's been tried, convicted, served her time.
Now, there's people out there taking bets that she's going to go back to prison. Like, even if she got a sanction, right? Let's say she goes and for some reason she tests positive for a little bit of alcohol in her system. I don't think she's doing that, but let's say she does. That doesn't put her back in prison. That is a sanction. She would go up in front of a hearing and a judge, and the judge would then decide whether or not she, this is bad enough that it sends you back to prison or that you get a sanction just because she does some little something. And I think she's smart enough to know what she's not supposed to do and what she is. And none of these things that's been said on social media that says that she's threatening people have I ever seen as a threat. And I'm not a Gypsy supporter.
No, because the one thing she said, that one girl, is come say that to my face. We all said that shit. You gonna talk your shit about me? Come say that to my face. I don't take that as a threat.
No, I take it as a keyboard warrior that would be a coward if they stood in front of you.
What cracks me up, this is what's cracked me up, is everybody going on about her, and this is kind of going back a few weeks, being at the Jazz Fest, and she's not supposed to be around alcohol. That's not what probation says, dumbasses. Jazz Fest is literally a family festival. There are people with their children at Jazz Fest. Yes, there's drinking. Louisiana's open container. You go bar to bar and just carry it with you. You buy it in the freaking grocery store. If she's not supposed to be around it, she can't even go into Walmart. Walmart sells liquor.
Now, I know people on probation, that some people on probation will say in their probation they can't be in a bar. They
Right.
can't. They can go into a place like Texas Roadhouse that
Like your
serves
restaurants,
alcohol.
your festivals, your
Right.
concerts.
Right. You can't go into a place that only sells alcohol and things like that. A festival there's children there.
Right. There people are so stupid saying that. Absolutely ridiculously stupid.
And I think all these people that's calling the probation officer has done Gypsy a favor, because so many idiots are calling her parole officer and telling bullshit that even if she did something and they told the truth, he's just going to either ask Gypsy about it or not even believe it, because they're getting bombarded by freaking idiots calling.
At this point, they are looking at it going, people are making shit up because everything has been wrong. And so Oasis says, well, her parole conditions aren't public record, so I don't know how people are saying she isn't allowed to be around alcohol. Exactly.
There's that too. Most of the time, drugs and alcohol, unless prescribed, of course, are part of it. Most of the time, Gypsy is not a normal parolee. She got out with them understanding that she's got these deals in the works and that she would need to promote them. If they didn't agree for her to promote them and do what is required to live up to her contract with these deals, then they would have told her off the bat, you can't leave the state of Missouri or you can't leave the state of Louisiana. They act like she's being special treatment, but she's not the first person that's been in the media's eyes. And I'm not going to say famous, because
when you are on parole, because I've looked all this up when this is all going down, I looked it all up. When you're on parole, if you need to travel out of state, you contact your parole officer.
You put in a request.
You say, this and this is going on at this place at this time. May I have permission to go? You submit it in writing. They give you your answer back in writing, so you have a paper trail to show, they said I could go. And then you go. And then you come back, and they usually drug test you. When you've done something like that, they do normally drug test for drugs and alcohol to make sure you were behaving yourself.
And let me tell you why I think she's walking the line and she's doing what's required of her. Because she just got back from LA. And if she would have had sanctions on anything on her other visits or had misstepped, the parole officer would not have granted her to go again.
Right. Well,
whether it's scheduled or not, they don't care if you've got a job. They don't care if they tell you to come in 2 and 3 times a week and you have a job and you're going to lose it if you miss work. They don't care.
Right. And when I thought it was funny when she first got out and people were freaking out. How is she allowed to go? How is she allowed to be on social media? The people who are not allowed to be on social media are usually sex offenders, guys.
And I do agree.
And so
there should be some regulation with her with social media. I do. I'm one of those that believes that, I do believe some people that she's got as much right as anyone else does, but her crime included the internet. I do believe there should be some sanctions on her with social media, but that's just my opinion. But they want her off of social media, so she went off social media. Then they were pissed because she went off social media.
Hey, Kylie. Yeah, nobody's ever happy. Nobody's ever happy with any of it.
Nothing she ever does is going to be right in anyone's book. And these people that their whole platforms now are nothing but gypsy, 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 gypsy. Those people are the people that's keeping Gypsy relevant.
And then want to gripe that she's in the public eye while they talk about her.
Because if everybody wanted her to go away, shut up. Just shut up.
That's why I have it like, look, I would, if we were to cover this nonstop, my channel would be like way too busy. Woo-hoo! Thank you, Kylie.
That makes her so happy. Thank you.
It does. I get so excited. When Mariska gave me the 99-cent one, that very first one I got, I was so tickled.
I keep telling her, you've got to promote your channel. You need to promote your channel. She's like, I feel so bad telling them to do that. I'm like,
my membership link is pinned. I did good.
It's like, you got to tell them to like and subscribe and be a member if they want to be a member. That's part of it.
No, you're fine. Oh,
no. You're fine. You're fine.
I love talking the case. I love talking this case. The problem is the psychos that follow the case. The ones that are over there doing live after live after live after live that are hours and hours and hours dissecting whether or not she's taking a shit. You know what I mean? That's where we're at this point with her. And it's like, people, there's other things to talk about. You know what I mean?
But I would tell you, how many people has come out of prison, whether they're murderers or what, they come out of prison and they build a platform and they talk about their prison time. They talk about things they did in prison. They talk about how they made pizza in prison out of commissary. Gypsy does that. Every other criminal can do it with Gypsy's same type of charge, and they'll build a platform and people will watch them. Gypsy does it, and it's like, how dare, what now? She's showing people how she survived in prison.
Right.
Like, no, I seen one person say she's showing people how spoiled princess she was because she had the ingredients to make all this stuff from commissary when most of the people there didn't. She had a family that made sure she had money on her books. She did things, and so has other criminals. Like, why did that make her bad?
So I covered, and I'm having this thing where I'm forgetting names, so I'm looking it up real quick. Because
I'm sure you do have some stories. See, that stuff interests me. It's amazing to me how creative they get.
Yeah, because I have a friend when he spent time in prison. He passed away a couple of years ago. Lord rest his soul, because he was my big Viking buddy. I love this man, but he would tell us all these stories about the inventions of what they would do with ramen just to make these. And I'm like, damn, that actually sounds good. They were very.
They can make some stuff out of ramen. I don't know if Chase is still here or not, but he called me the other day and he told me he had made something with roman and cheese, and I don't know what else he made. And he's never been in jail. I mean, poor kid. He's such a good kid. He's always been a good kid. And I'm not just saying that because he's here. He's never been in an ounce of trouble his whole life, even as a teenager. And he was telling me all this stuff he made out of this dish he made out of roman. I thought about, that's what the people in prison make a lot of stuff out of roman.
I wanted to make sure I had my name right, because y'all, I guess because I've just been so freaking busy. Which in its menopause, you start forgetting shit. But people are talking about she had it made in prison, and how did she have this in prison? How did she do that? Amber Hilberling, I covered her story. It's probably one of my favorite stories. And she had a curling iron, guys, in her prison cell. I mean, that's how they say she took her own life, was using the cord from her curling iron. I was fascinated that she was in a prison that allowed curling irons, because, I mean, I didn't realize they allowed curling irons inside a prison. So
the people that I've talked to that was in prison to them, if they had a choice between county jail and prison, they're going to pick prison. Supposedly county jail is just you in the county jail. Where in prison, some of them have classes. They're able to get more. They're able to, just have more of a normalcy of life with still being tied down and paying their time to society and, and rehabilitation. I know some prisons, you hear these horror stories where everything is out of date food and all of that. And I know that exists too, but most of them would rather be in prison every day of the week than to spend a week back in county.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I mean, I had a friend of mine who's she's got like a 15,000 subscriber channel, and she had been after me she's like, Brandy, you could like grow this by doing Gypsy. And then when it all started, she called me. She's like, now I know why you didn't want to do this. I said, exactly. Do you see how they act? You can't be pro Gypsy and pro Nick. You have to be one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you can say Gypsy is wrong for this, this, and this, but you defend her on one thing, then you're a Gypsy supporter. Or
right.
a Blanchard plant is what most of us have been called for the last 4 or 5 months. And so it just...
I'm still waiting on Christy to send me my damn frog legs.
Well, I'm obviously never getting a check since I called her out.
I was accused of being a Blanchard plant, and I made a video. I don't know if y'all saw it. I took it down. but I did a phone call between Dog the Bounty Hunter and Christy, and Dog was trying to hunt Kendall's check. And Christy was telling Dog the Bounty Hunter that Kendall's just going to have to wait her turn. Some of the other players are more important, and she'll get her frog legs when I got time to send them. That was one of my best ones. That was one of them I was proud of.
Oh, I swear. I don't know what we're going to talk about later in the week, guys.
Yeah, we got 3 days to come up with another one.
I know. So because I do want to talk serial killers, y'all. I love serial killers, and I know that's sad to say, but I had brought it up on, I think it was on Cole's channel. It might have been, no, it was on JoJo's. I talked about my connection with the Green River Killer. It's a tongue twister. And so then I fell down the rabbit hole again. So I have been listening to things about Gary Ridgway. And so, yeah, I really would love to talk about that. That's such a deep case. There's way too much to do to put down in a couple of days.
And I'm so down the rabbit hole on Baby Reindeer. If y'all don't know Baby Reindeer, go to Netflix and watch Baby Reindeer so somebody can talk to me about it. I did a live the other night. We lasted 3 hours because people kept coming in. And I would refresh what it was about, and they would come with another opinion, and I would go down that rabbit hole of their opinions.
Have a good one, Oasis. Oasis is leaving us. Yeah, I missed that live because I forgot you were going live, and I was just so exhausted.
No notifications. Nobody got notifications, and I don't know why.
It'll do that. So that's why I asked you. I was like, were you on TikTok or YouTube? Because, I mean, it does it on both of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have that friend, and you know who I'm talking about. I won't call her name because, I mean, you know why. Yeah. But she's a psychologist, and she was going to come in on a different account and was going to give her opinion of probably the personality disorders and, the narcissist and that thing. She can't diagnose because she's never seen the patient in person and doesn't know the history, but she was willing to come in and, but then something come up, and she had texted me during the live, and I seen it pop up on the top of the screen of my phone, but I was afraid I would get knocked out if I looked at the text message. So something had come up and she wasn't able to come in, but so we're going to try to probably do another one Friday night again because some new things has come up now. She's like obsessively posting on Facebook, even though she denies sending 41,000 emails in a year. She's posting 20 to 30 posts an hour on Facebook. So
I won't be able to stay long on Friday because we kick off Saturday, and I don't even know what time I'll get back home Friday from finishing because I want to try to get everything set up. So all I have to do is get dressed up and go Saturday morning, and but I'm going to try to go live while I'm out there so y'all can see some of the fun activities and shenanigans we get into.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm thinking about, because I'm working on some commission pieces, like for Comic-Con and places like that of anime and Rick and Morty and just some things that people has put in for me to do that I've got to get done. And I thought about doing some of my lives and a film or the live of me working on those projects. I've brought it up to several people that I was working on commission, and they're like, really, what do you do? And I told them that, I do the artist part of it and then I color it in. And they're like, we want to see that. So I might do some lives of doing some of those too.
Well, I thought about even doing that later in the week, just coming live and while I'm working on cups and jibber jabbing. Yeah, and Anti-Bully Girl, I have not been able to wear a lot of my stuff because I had gained so much weight, and so I've lost 57 pounds. That was my weight in yesterday. So I'm thinking I'll be able to get back into one of my corsets that is one of my favorite corsets. And so the problem is it's going to be in the 90s. And I'm like, do I really want to wear a damn corset in 90-degree heat? So, and my husband, of course, here my husband, poor guy, and he's working nights, and he's like, damn it, here I am out of town, and he loves to see me dressed up. He likes it. Let's just put it that way. fairy and a queen. I tend to do a mix of Viking, pirate, dragon, queen is the way I go with it. I just throw my own stuff together, and I'm trying
I
to
love the way Brandy and them do it though, because one weekend will be pirates and the next
Yes.
weekend will be something new. I love that.
Yeah, we do a Celtic weekend, a pirate weekend, a Viking weekend, sometimes a barbarian weekend. We had fairy weekend. We do all kinds. That way it's just, and then really you don't even have to dress up for the theme. You can come in whatever. And during the fall, for the kids, we did a trick-or-treating scavenger hunt. So they got a list when they come in the door, in the gate, and they had to figure out which booth was which. And we had to sign off on it, and we had trinkets or candies for them. And then they had to find, at the end of it, they had to find which booth it was, and they got a goodie bag. So we had 99 kids last year. They had a blast. They had so much fun. I think the parents had more fun, except I told everybody, like, okay, we can't make the scavenger clues so hard, because they would bring it up and say, do you know what this one is? And I'm reading that going, I helped do these with these people, and I don't even know which booth this is. So some of them were hard. But yeah, we do have a lot of fun. It is a fun little community, and we're a pretty tight group. We have 57 vendors this year for this one. Some have had to drop out. The weather, we had one guy that just had to leave. The storm that came in Thursday destroyed his stuff. So he was packing up and going home.
Face. Be nice.
Make them earn it.
Make them kids earn it.
They are earning it, Chase. Trust me, because some of them was hard.
She's gonna check out wines and stuff, the kind of stuff that I make. She's gonna check out those kind of prices and who's selling. So hopefully I can get some of my merchandise to her before she does it again.
Yeah, that way I can see. We try not to let too many. Well, they say that they try not to let too many people in of the same kind of stuff, and then there are multiples of it. But luckily, I'm their only sublimation girl. I kind of have that cornered because he likes me, and of course I'm adding into my stuff. Hopefully I can get them done this week. Beaded pins with the beads on them, but I'm doing dragon jewels off of them, and so my whole theme is dragon.
That suits your personality.
Yeah, it
dragon
really.
Woman.
I'm a dragon girl.
You're the dragon woman, according to some people.
This one, Chase, starts this next weekend and goes for the next 5 weekends.
She's only a couple hours from you, bud. We talked about this.
And then I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hot, really hot. And we're very primitive because, we just moved 2 weeks ago. And so we're having to kind of start all over. Fall is going, I look for fall to be an amazing season. I'm going to be honest, I'm nervous about this season because of the move. I'm nervous, but, and the weather has been so crazy.
What is the weather right now?
Right now, hot as fuck. Like, we went from trying to kill us with rain to trying to kill us with heat. It is, hold on, I'll tell you what the temperature is. Let me pull it up. At 4:13 in the afternoon, it is 51% humidity, 90 degrees, and let's see what it feel. Let's see, what is my field temperature? Feels 95 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There you go.
See, my son has to pick.
Come and let me know, and we'll make sure to go live or send her pictures at least.
Did you see Chase, what he says?
Yeah.
I obviously talk about you a lot. I didn't know I did, but he tells M the same thing. So
ABG, that is Kendall's son.
Yeah, that's my baby.
He's watched us on replay and given us critical feedback. I started to ask the other day, ask Chase if that thumbnail looks good, because he was
Yeah, something about the thumbnail. He was giving me these things one night, like he was giving me this long speech about, you got to get the clickbait right. You got to get the thumbnail right. And he was, he was giving, I was, everything he was trying to tell me. I told Brandy, I was like, we got, how did I tell you that we got positive critic feedback, but we got to work on our thumbnail and our clickbait.
You said it was critical positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to make sure I get the tags that give attention, and I don't like to do like other people and put Gypsy Rose in everything that I do, even if I end up talking about her, because I'm not about all that.
Yeah, we don't want to build the channel on Gypsy, because that's what we'll be accused of.
No, because look, let's just face it. I've already said anything I was connected to that brought me to any of those people, I now regret. I regret the friendships. I regret the people. I regret, other than Dawn Brown, and she's not here right now. I regret it all. I absolutely has been the bane of my existence, and I wish I never would have met Fancy, Christy, or any of them, in all honesty.
I can't say I regret any of it, because I've got you and Dawn and so many people that's just so supportive. And
ABG.
But
the only reason I regret it is because it's brought me so much hell.
right.
And it's made me question so much. And it's, I told JoJo, and I've told Cole and them, I don't trust easy because of those people.
Right.
And you can only be burned so many times, and then you just don't trust.
Right. And that's true too, Chase. If we build it up on Gypsy after the Gypsy, and Gypsy's going to fade. I've said that before.
Right.
That Gypsy herself's going to hit a hard point when something new comes along and takes her place, and nobody cares anymore.
I like small growth because I know that I have people that want to be here. And
yeah, I'd rather have real followers that are following us because of the personalities and what we're presenting, rather than the drama that surrounds that case.
Yeah, I just don't want to be tied to it. I don't want to be tied.
I don't want to be tied to the drama at all.
I'm done. So done. I'm guessing there hasn't been any, because I haven't had any text messages about my name being used this last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the week before was enough.
Drama sells. And you've got the creators out there, when there ain't no drama, they create drama.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stay in my lane, try to stay away from them. I don't wish them bad. I hope their channels do great, but I don't want nothing to do with it.
No, I'm done. Absolutely done with it. I have too much going on. Like, Lord, y'all seen I hadn't even been on much this week. Everything comes and goes. Gypsy is a fad right now. It was Johnny Depp a few months ago. Yep. And you know what? I didn't follow any of the Johnny Depp.
Oh, I did. My poodle's named Johnny.
I didn't follow any of it, and I love Johnny Depp, but I didn't follow any of it.
I was obsessed. I was to the point that, what am I going to do when this court case is over? My life, my doctor's appointments. I was still going through chemo during that time. I would schedule my appointments around who was going to be on the witness stand.
See, I did that with the Parkland School shooting trial. I did that with the Crumbly trials, and I did that with the Gannon Stout case. Like, once they were done, it was like, oh, what do I do? I had no idea.
Johnny is big now in France and, places like that. He's just kind of left, and I don't blame him. America did him wrong. So he just don't really film that much here. His last movie was done completely in French.
Oh, wow.
So he's big over there. But my crew is starting to come in. I gotta
get back to making cups, because I'm in cup hell for the next few days. It's good. I got this.
You haven't sent me anything to critique lately, so you must be.
No, and I had to adjust the one that we did, because when I printed the first one, it was too far down and too big, the emblem. Right. So I had to shrink it up a little bit and bring it back up, because I didn't like how it looked on the cup. So, but I got it. That's all I had to do to it. But, yeah.
Chase, I will do better letting you know when we're live. He's always telling me, let me know.
Thanks for joining us, Chase. And thank you everybody else that came in and supported. And
thanks, girls. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you all so much. And be safe. I don't know if anybody else is having any crazy weather or if it's going to calm down this week. God, I hope it calms down everywhere. I'm now terrified of what hurricane season is going to look like after having a hurricane come from inland in May. So
crazy.
I'm a little nervous. But yeah, I lost trees and.
Oh, Steven's here too. That's my other baby.
Oh, hi, Steven.
Steven is Chase's best friend. Remember I was telling you how they've been friends since they were just little boys, teenagers playing online?
He was lurking.
Yeah, he was here the other night when I was live with baby reindeer. And he come in to tell me bye. He was taking off to Texas. He's moving to Texas where Chase is at. But Chase has been friends since they were little buddy boys.
I don't know when our next Silent No More is. I've had a few message me of wanting to do anything, but then they don't get back. I do have an email from the one that was in the live the other night that actually works at a school that's actually regulated. I need to get with you.
That
and
would be interesting.
Get a list of questions to her. And Katie with Down the Rabbit Hole at bedtime. She has got some experience in that on the positive side. And so I'd like to have her come on and kind of talk about it. And
I have two with the wilderness that's ready to go whenever I'm ready to pull the strings. So I know we want to do that separately, but it's still the same subject matter.
Yeah.
So I can
we can
make that happen too.
Yeah, we can do those. We can start the wilderness one. And as they all get ready to start coming out and talking more, then we'll just do another one. So,
right. But it does this. It go the arrest of Paul Gear really put it back on the front burner, but it does this. It's our responsibility to keep it alive.
Yes. Yes.
So yep. But it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
As always.
Thank you,
Thanks, girls, for supporting us.
me.
And we will be back. Alice the Dragon.
Whoops. The button, huh?
LM Dragon said dragons.
Oh yeah, that's why I loved it when she came in. I'm like, oh, a dragon.
I've gotten several new followers lately that's very supportive. So I think staying on the track of staying away from that certain subject, we're in the right direction.
Yeah,
people's tired of hearing about it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I know I am.
Yeah.
So
I hate that I'm associated with it.
Huh?
I said I hate that I'm associated with it because that's how a lot of people met me. It's my AI videos about the gypsy stuff and fancy, so it'll be harder for me to pull away. You've pulled away, but your name is so embedded in the story itself.
Yeah.
But
it keeps getting thrown in when I don't want it thrown in.
Right. So does mine.
I'm such an evil mastermind. It's fine. But alrighty, guys, we will see y'all in a few days. I'll come up with something else for us to do.
See you later, ladies.
Bye, guys.
Bye.